Good evening and welcome to Information Please, your Peoria Public Library on the air, bring you information about your library and your community. And this evening my guest is Adam Danner, who is here to talk about some events we're going to hold at Peoria Public Library North Branch from the teachings from the Four Directions. Hi, Adam.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm so glad you could come because you've got a lot to tell us about. We've got these great events that are going to really offer a wonderful educational opportunity. Why don't we start by before we even talk about what the events are, tell us about the teachings from the Four Directions and the Four Directions Healing Foundation.
Well, what the Four Directions Healing Foundation is, it's a group of Native American people from around the country, actually, who knew each other, who banded together a few years ago to work together for the betterment of Native American people. So we do charitable stuff. We collect donated items all year, whether that's clothing, everyday essential items, different kinds of stuff. And we have relationships with different Native communities in different states, and we actually have some of our directors live on the reservation. So we have these kind of unique inroads to different communities that we can work with directly and say, well, what is it not what we think you need, but what is it that you need? And you tell us, because every community is different. And we do that at least a couple times a year. We'll take stuff somewhere. And then we do, our other side is educational, cultural. Okay. And we serve, the whole idea of that was to be an authentic bridge to the public about our culture, about our just who our people are, that we're still alive, that our culture is still practiced, and that it's diverse. And our directors are, like I said, from all over the country.
So is this a national organization?
Yeah, it is. And we have directors in Illinois within a kind of a 2-hour radius, I'd say, probably maybe half of us live. But then we have our Vice President, Lionel Little Eagle, who's of the Micmac Nation. He lives up in Washington State. He's lived there for a number of years. 2 of our directors are from the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa in northern Michigan on the Grand Traverse Reservation. We have a director of Shawnee background who's from Ohio. And our original vice president was Homa from Louisiana. And one of our directors is also Mohawk and Seneca background from New York State. So the reason we chose the name Four Directions Healing Foundation, obviously Four Directions, you picture a medicine wheel, it's in the culture, but this core group of people that we decided to form this around, we started thinking about it. We realized that literally we had one from the east, one from the south, one from the west, and then 2 from the north. But anyway, it was the 4 directions of this land we live, and then healing. I tell people it's not like we're not trying to put our hands on somebody and heal them or something like that. It's healing is in bringing people together. Whether in our event, Native Americans Speak, that we just had a couple weeks ago, and we have the last weekend of every August in Chillicothe, where I'm from, that really brings people together. And I think that's the manifestation of the healing we're talking about, because you see Native people come together from all over the country, and not just our directors, but we have Native people from other tribes who are friends with us who will come and take part in that day. And they look forward to getting together every year. They love meeting each other. Yeah. But then the public gets to interact with those people, and they're pretty personable folks usually. Yeah. And so there's just a healing of from different angles, I guess. And that's where the name comes from. Okay.
Okay. And so you're going to do some more of that type of work for us at Peoria Public Library, which of course is open to everyone and it's free. And you have 3 parts to the event. There are 3 different days: October 1st, October 13th, and October 24th. So maybe we could tell people a little bit. On October 1st, the event is Adam Danner's Honoring in a Good Way. So what's that one?
Well, that's a program I do. And Honoring in a Good Way is also the name of a book I wrote a few years ago. And I grew up in Chillicothe with 2 parents who have some mixed blood Native heritage, but nevertheless, that planted a seed. That wasn't a huge direct cultural influence from that, but it planted a seed. And I was really fortunate as I got older to have Native American people from different tribes take me into their families, take me into their lives, and really take me under their wing and kind of groom me to support me, teach me to do many of the things I do now. And I always say, without their teachings, without their support, without their permission, I wouldn't be doing any of this. That's a big thing, to have that kind of support and permission. Because if you don't, I'm just a guy from Chillicothe, so if I didn't have that, why would I be doing this,
Yeah. How long did it take you to earn that kind of trust?
Years. I don't know exactly how long, but certainly years. I've known these people now for quite a few years, and it takes a while. You don't learn these things overnight. It's not kind of like a hobby or a trend or something. It's a serious thing, and it's their life, So I went about it in a respectful way to let them be who they are, and I didn't try to barge in. I didn't try to recreate the wheel or anything like that. I let them be the teachers, and I was the student. And listening's a big thing in our culture, and I sat back and I listened, and I was fortunate that they saw something in me they wanted to work with and wanted to teach. So having those experiences with those people is what allows me to do this, not because I have some heritage on both sides of my family.
It's the knowledge.
It's the life experience that I've had through having these people take me in. And I wanted to give back and to show the general public respectful ways they can go about it, because we live in a day and age where there's a lot of generic Native American culture that floats around out there. It's all over the country.
Like everybody lives in a teepee.
Yeah, sure. It's all kinds of different things, but there's certainly ways that one could try to go about learning about Native Americans that real natives would not be in favor with. That's just the reality of it. And so my book, Honoring in a Good Way, was written specifically to sort through the fact and the fiction, and to point people in respectful ways and sustainable ways that they can engage, if they have Native American heritage or if they just have interest. Either way, it doesn't matter, but how they can go about that in a good way. And we'll say, I'll hear all people say sometimes, so and so do that in a good way, or we try to do this in a good way. So honoring that interest, honoring that heritage in a good way is what it's about. And the program, while it's not verbatim from the book, it is a similar idea. It's to break down the stereotypes. I go and I talk about a lot of real life things that I've experienced. It's not because I read a book or something. It's because I've been there and I've been with these folks, and to talk about the realities of Native American life, not just the kind of the fantasy stuff that's out there, but what it's really like and what these people have instilled in me, and I talk about respect and being humble and these core things that I think are the most important, not anything romantic or anything.
Right.
I've been taught spiritual things and all this, but what I say at the end of the day, the most important things I've been taught are, to live a prayerful life, to be humble, to be respectful, to be giving. And, those things are the core. And anybody can do that. You don't have to be, those are things anybody all over the world, I think, anybody can value that. And a lot of people around the world do, obviously. So, but our people are very giving in general, can't speak for everybody, but the Native people I've known, especially, they'll give you the shirt off their back. They're just really good folks, and it's kind of ingrained in the culture, to do that. I had one of my elders grew up, and they would give what little food they had to other folks who weren't very fortunate, and she grew up, thinking, why do we have to, when she was a little kid, why do we have to give away what little we have? So we'll go without so someone else can have. But she grew up and she understood it, when she got older, and her mom was Native American, and that was just that's just how they did it. It's just one example.
That's the way you did it. And okay. And so this whole program, are you going to have any like songs, stories, that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, my program, I'll probably sing a couple songs with my hand drum. I usually take that, and if there's time, I certainly will sing a couple traditional songs. And I will talk, I will answer questions, I might tell a story or two. I might use a little language. I'm not fluent speaker by any means, but I've been taught by people up in Michigan especially, people guide me with the Ottawa language, I've been adopted into family up there. So, and I know a lot of people up there. So one of the ladies I know, who's, I think we'll see a picture of later, who's one of our directors, she's worked with the language up there. So she can guide me and, try to maybe use a little of that, what little I know. And just really try to show that Native American people are diverse. There's 560 plus tribes, which really gets people. People are like, wow, I didn't know that, Yeah. And, there's so many that I don't know the name of, just in Alaska and California and all these tribes that if you don't live there, and even if you do, you might not know all of them,
And this is a question that just occurred to me, but when you said there's that many tribes, are these all tribes that have a long history? People haven't formed new tribes.
Well, some people probably try to, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
No, I'm talking, these are tribes that go back,
way back into history.
Like any other tribe you can think of. There's just ones that we haven't heard of, that's all it is.
Because of the history we know, or where we live. Many people, their exposure is through American history, hearing about battles or wars, or the geography of a place, like Chillicothe.
And there's going to be those certain tribes. Everybody's heard the word Shawnee, everybody's heard the word Cherokee, everybody's heard the word Iroquois, which is actually, 6 nations together. But those are the ones we all know, but there's so many other tribes, smaller tribes that, I wouldn't have known about years ago, but I've met people from those tribes and, things I've been involved with and stuff. And it really opens your eyes to how many different kinds of Native people there are. And that's part of why I do this program and part of why our foundation does our educational efforts, because we want to show that our people are diverse. We have people on our board from these different, quite a few different Native backgrounds. Right. And every tribe's different. Some tribes maybe regionally or, grouped together by language maybe have more similarities than, maybe tribes that are in relation in the Northeast or they're going to be more similar to each other than they would be to a tribe in the Southwest, let's say, probably, but it's to show that there is that great diversity, and it's not just this one kind of stereotype that we see in the movies or wherever,
the stereotypes we all grew up with.
And I think our directors and who our organization's made up of represents that well, and then the event we do, Native Americans Speak, represents that well too. We try to really give those folks a platform to tell their story, because oftentimes, as a lot of people know, it's gotten told for them.
Yes, they weren't the voice telling it. Somebody else told it.
And sometimes things I'll read, sometimes I'll hear, I'll say, wow, that's so far from the way it really is, Exactly. And that's part of why I started doing these, because I just wanted to get accurate, truthful, authentic, whatever information out there to the people who want to learn. Not everybody wants to, and that's fine.
But the people who do learn, get the correct information. Yeah. That's how we feel about things at the library. Why use a search engine when you can use the databases at the library and get verified information?
That's right.
Come, once again, that's what we're doing here, and having you, we're presenting the verified information.
Yeah. And even in my book, and I sometimes talk about these things in this Honoring in a Good Way program, I have a part just like tips, etiquette, traditional clothing we call regalia, we don't call them costumes, just ways to go about things, different scenarios that you're not going to know. I wouldn't have known years ago, Right. And people who didn't grow up, engulfed in the culture, why should they know it? Their heart's in the right place, but I'm trying to catch them up to speed on some things so they can go about it and be respectful at the same time and not say something that's going to offend real Native people or whatever the case.
Exactly.
So little tips and pointers, I guess. I throw in there.
We can go back to this more, but on October 13th we've got culture and music.
Yes.
Drum, dancing, flute.
Yeah.
And who will be performing that?
A couple of people I've talked to, and there'll probably be more between now and then that I'll get to come, but. Spirit of the Rainbow Drum, who's local. They're really good. They're a Northern Plains style drum. Really good at what they do. They've been doing it for a long time. They will be there. And Joe Lakota, who is also lives in this area,
yeah,
and
I think
she's
many
a
people
really
locally may know her.
yeah she's done a lot of different kinds of programs around here, and she's a really good flute player and a really good storyteller, and I found out she's a really good singer at one of the programs.
No, surprised, huh?
Yeah. But you know, she'll come play flute. She'll probably tell some stories, and there's a few other Native people I've asked to come, and there's probably a few more I will ask to come.
Okay.
So,
and so is this the kind of performance that the whole family would enjoy?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and they'll learn a lot. And with music, you know, I mean. There is an entertainment value. I mean, not all our culture is for entertainment, obviously, but with music, I think people can come, especially, and really enjoy what they're hearing, and maybe learn a little bit about dancing. You know, that's something some of the guys on Spirit of the Rainbow Drum would probably be willing to share. You know, and hear some of Joe's stories, and there's a lot of things that people can come and really enjoy there. Not just take it in, not just be dry information, but really kind of come to life.
Great. And then our last night is October 24th, and you have cooking and culture. Yeah. And you've got recipes and seafood being cooked, and hear stories and get to taste things. So
yeah, that's a thing. We actually did a similar program at the Chillicothe Library, and that's why the idea popped into my head. You know, and we did that there, and it went really well. And one of our secretary is from Arizona, Pima Yaqui background. She lives in Illinois now, but she, her and one of our other directors just did a phenomenal job of presenting all this food, you know, and talking about the culture. And unfortunately, our secretary won't be able to be there this night, but we have other ladies that we know. One is involved with our organization on our directors, and one is a lady who helps us. And they have Native background. They've been cooking these dishes for some time. They can talk about them. They can talk about where they come from. You know, the traditionalness of them. You know, venison. You know, you talk about venison, for example. That's just a random example, but you know what that meant to certain people. You know, because different regions have different animals that are more pertinent to those regions, you know. Right. And you know, I might sing a song, I might talk just a little bit, and then I'll just get out of their way. You know, I'll turn it over to them, and I'll say, if you need help stirring something, I'll do it. But it's they know what to do, and they're really good at it. And like you said, you'll get to taste it, get to learn, and then taste. So I mean, what's better than that?
Oh yeah. And what sorts of foods are they preparing?
Well, I'm not totally sure.
Or is it
a
random menu depending on?
We'll put together a menu. It'll have to do with their own backgrounds more, you know, with Danita, our secretary, you know, when she did the one in Chillicothe, a lot of things native to Arizona, where she's from, and things she learned from her Pima, you know, grandparents, you know, or Pima or Yaqui. She had a grandparent on each side there that really she grew up with, and you know, that comes straight from the family there. Right. So we'll need to sit down and put together a menu. I know a few things that might be done. I know there'll be a stew of some sort, but you know, there'll be at least 2, 3, 4 things on the menu there, and you know, everybody will get to sample them. You
That'll
know,
be great.
And learn a lot about the culture that night too.
That'll be great. You know, we've got some photos here, and I want to make sure we get to see them. And if you could tell us,
these are from Native Americans Speak, which was August 25th, just you know, a few weeks ago. And this is our Vice President, Lionel Little Eagle Penn, the Micmac Nation, and he was talking, I think, predominantly about what our foundation does, you know, the spirit behind it, and he was a big part of that. When I first had the idea, I actually had an idea for an event, and I ran this idea past him, and so there were other Native people around who formed the core organization, but he was the one who said, let's make a pact to do this. And when he said that, it's like, well, we're going to do this. You know, and you can see the river back there, and some of the pictures will have that. It's a very beautiful setting down at Shore Acres Park. I mean, you can't beat that, you know.
Can you tell us what he's wearing? Is there any that's
a new ribbon shirt. Different one than I've seen him with in the past, and I can't totally tell you everything about it, but that's a ribbon shirt. There's different kinds of ribbon shirts. The hat was new too this year, so I don't totally know the background of all his regalia, but it's something that obviously means a lot to him in his cultural background, you know.
Okay. And we've got some more photos here we can look at.
Oh, this is a fella named Jamie Russell, who's Cherokee Nation, Oklahoma, but he's lived in Tennessee for many years, and he's a great Native American singer-songwriter. He writes his own songs. He's got a great voice. He's a good guitar player, and he'll do hand drum songs. He makes river cane flutes. He dances. I mean, he could do the whole event by himself. He's so talented. I mean, he's just one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. He comes up from Ooltewah, Tennessee, to be a part every year.
Oh, great!
And we love to have him. He's great.
Wonderful that he's willing to do that and come and share. And you can see the river there too.
And that's another picture of Jamie. Like I said later, he dances, and that's his very traditional regalia there. And I can't tell you exactly what he's doing at this point because I don't know the dance. I'm not a dancer, but it's he's dancing in the circle there. And the drum was singing, and he's that's part of one of the many dances they were doing that day.
And are the dances a set thing, that there is a dance with certain steps that means a certain thing?
There are. I mean,
pass that down.
There's many different kinds of dances, different kinds of dancers, fancy dance, men's traditional, grass dancers, hoop dancers, jingle dancers. There's all kinds of different dancers and dances, and
I think so often people go, they see there's a powwow advertised, and they go and they see the different dances, and I don't know that they really had the opportunity to learn much about what they mean or why anyone's doing this.
Sure. It's some powwows, probably quite a few, they'll call out what kind of dance is going on at certain points. There's certain times of the day where there'll be certain, for certain things, but then there'll just be general, dancing, people go out and it's a prayerful thing,
I think that's the part many people don't understand.
Yeah, it's not just entertainment value. It's a cultural, prayerful thing. You go out and you dance. But like I said, there are certain kinds of directed kind of dances. Like Jamie, that day he was. I know he wanted to do a sneak up. And I can't tell you exactly what all that is, but that's why we do the drum and dance demonstration at our event, because you get to see elements of a powwow there. It's not a powwow, but you get to see elements of it. There's many other elements too, but you get to see people talk about the different kinds of dances and demonstrate them. And then later on, they'll invite, the public to come out and dance with them.
Join them.
So it's really interactive like that.
Okay. And this photo is?
That's me, and I'm talking about, looks like I'm pretty serious there, huh?
Yeah.
I'm talking about our foundation and some of the things we do, and a lot of the kind of stuff we're talking about right here today. What we're about, who we are, and why we do it.
And why you exist, why it's important.
This is one of our directors, Fred Shaw, and he's Shawnee. He comes from Ohio, and he is a phenomenal, renowned storyteller, just unbelievable. And he's telling a story right there. He tells stories all over the country. He's told stories in other countries, I believe. So he gets asked to go all over the place. Really respected storyteller.
Privilege that all these people come to Central Illinois.
This is one of our elders. Yeah, it's Mel Grail of the Dakota Nation, Crow Creek Reservation. He comes from, and he's a really great speaker. He's spoken at the UN in Geneva, Switzerland. In his life, he speaks. Gets asked to speak at different colleges and different places, and he grew up on Crow Creek Reservation, still lives there, and he's got a wealth of knowledge he can share with people. He speaks the language still, This is Phyllis John, and she was the one I was alluding to earlier when I was talking about the language who had helped me with the Ottawa language, and she just did a phenomenal job. She knows so much about their culture up there, northern Michigan, by Traverse City, Ottawa, Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa. And she shared some language. She sang a song. She talked about, what it is to be where they're from, and what life's like.
Give people
she did a phenomenal job,
That's great. Yeah. Well, I want to go back over this again in case somebody just tuned in and is just now catching up with us. And Adam Danner's Honoring in a Good Way is October 1st at North Branch Library, and it is at, I think you're at, what time?
6 to 7:30.
6 to 7:30. I see it there. I can't read my own papers. All of these are 6 to 7:30.
Well,
so
the October 13th is Saturday. That's a 1 to 3.
1 to 3, okay.
But the other two are certainly.
Okay, Saturday, October 13th is 1 to 3, and that's the drum, dancing, flute, and from people with diverse Native American backgrounds. And then October 24th, the Native American cooking and culture. And that will be great, and that one's at 6 then.
Yep, that'll be kind of another 6 to 7:30
all at North
range.
Branch and all in the Mackenzie room, I assume, so you have plenty of room. Nice,
good.
Lovely, beautiful new big room that we have there. Yeah. And so those are all great. But is this like a foundation that people can join and help if they want to assist, or?
Yeah, we have membership. We have a few different levels of membership. You can just donate. You can donate monetary, which helps us take our trips, which helps us, a lot of things we do. We couldn't do it, without some kind of monetary help. Also, you can donate clothing. You can donate everyday essential items. Have people donate all kinds of stuff, You can just attend the programs, and learn. And one more person who kind of understands some of the truths and isn't basing Native Americans off stereotypes, that's good. Every person who knows, talks to somebody else.
Good thing. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking time to come and talk to us, and I think we're all looking forward to these programs. They're great, and to reading your book. It'll be a really wonderful opportunity, and it's what the library likes to do, is expose the community to the real truth about many things. So thank you for coming.
Oh, well, thanks for the opportunity. It's great.
Sure. Well, I hope that everyone can join us at Peoria Public Library North Branch for these 3 great dates. If you've lost track of when they are, just try our website or call the library or ask at any desk. And we'll have lots more coming up at the library as we get into fall and winter. And so be sure that you tune in next week for information, please.